Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 8 of the Unspoken Rules podcast. I am your host, Sebastian, a.k.a. Rabbit, and I'm here with my co-host, Montana, a.k.a. Wildcard. Good morning, brother. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. How was your day
Hey,
yesterday?
it was great. You know what I'm saying? I was just, hey, man, some of these games yesterday just blew my mind. You know what I mean? But yeah, we got a lot of things to cover first. Obviously, we're going to be going over those games yesterday. Like I said, I was stunned by one of those results. You were right. The Clippers did, in fact, win, and the Clippers were going to win. I got to give it to you. You know what I mean, Montana? I got to give it to you. We'll get into that, though. As well as, obviously, we're going to preview tonight's games and how good these games are going to be. At least, hopefully. We'll see if D-Book can step up and keep going with that momentum from the Lakers series. But one thing for sure, I want to cover some football news today towards the end of the show with that Julio Jones trade. I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder how that's going to affect the team, but we'll talk about it as well. And, I mean, I know we both watched it last night, but that Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight, we could just discuss it just slightly. We don't have to get too much into it. But man, that was something crazy. I don't think I'll ever see that again. Obviously, the man's 44, but that was cool to see Floyd back in the ring. Other than that, though, Montana, take it away, brother.
All right. So yesterday we had for the first. Well, I'm not going to say the first. The Bucks and the Nets were the first second round game to kick off on Saturday. But the Atlanta Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers were the second Eastern Conference game, round 2 game to kick off their series yesterday. It was a really interesting game. The series was the game was going in Atlanta's favor, and then towards the end of the game, we had a little bit of issues for Atlanta that I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about. But let's take a look at the box score for the Atlanta Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers as I get ready. Let's see who is the highlights of the game for you, Sebastian.
So with this game one, I was extremely confident that the Hawks were going to win this in surprising fashion due to the fact that Joel originally he wasn't supposed to play. He was doubtful. Then out of nowhere, I think like an hour before the game, they said no, he's going to run it. And to my surprise, the fact that Joel came out and played with a freaking small tear of his meniscus is still like dangerous to me. And honestly, like he gained my respect for that because you don't come out here play with that type of an injury and just say, "Yo, I'm gonna drop what was it like 30 something? I think 38 points he dropped last night or 39 points." Like, bro,
Let me highlight some key players for the Atlanta Hawks as they were the winning team. They won 128-124 yesterday. So we had Trae Young, who had 35 points, 10 assists, and 2 rebounds. We had John Collins, who had 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. And the other player of note was Bogdanovic, who hit one of the clutchest shots of game one towards the end of the game. He had 21 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. And then Kevin Huerter was the other notable player on the team that scored 15 points, 5 rebounds, and had 4 assists. For the Philadelphia 76ers, they had a late comeback, but the comeback just was too late, just didn't have enough time on the clock to make the difference in the final minute of the game. Joel Embiid, coming into the game questionable, had 39 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. Ben Simmons had 17 points, 10 assists, and 4 rebounds. Seth Curry had 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. And Tobias Harris had 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. So, Rabin, are the Atlanta Hawks too young to win the series, or is Philadelphia going to come back and make their mission known?
So here's my problem, right? They lost that first quarter 42-27, right? But my thing with Doc is the fact that you're down by 10, down by maybe 12, and this man decided to just drop everybody and bring in their bench. Like the fact that you don't have your stars, or at least one star. You know what I'm saying? With the Hawks, they don't really have stars, but they have people that step up. Like Bogdan stayed in for a good portion of that time while Tobias was down, Ben was down, and Joel was down. So Bogdan was there stepping up. Kevin Huerter stepped up. John Collins was doing his thing. So they had those players to just step up while 76ers starters were just all sitting down. It made no sense in my head why you just allow them to sit. Yes, I get it. They need rest. But you're down by 12. And then on top of that, don't bring in at least another star. They don't bring in Tobias, which was the first star to come off the bench, until 8 to 10 minutes left in that second quarter. So at that point, Doc just wants them to lose because they go down, I think 23 at one point or 5 at one point. Then finally Tobias comes back in to try and get them back into like, you know what I'm saying, into rhythm and whatnot. But I don't know. I get it. Tobias played 36 minutes. Ben had 38 and Joel had 37 or whatever the case may be. But I mean, bro, the only reason they have those numbers is because the Hawks really almost sold that game. 41-29 was that fourth quarter. If they just play like, I feel like if Joel or them would have just played like 1 or 2 more minutes in that first or second quarter to keep that game a little closer, we're talking about a completely different game. For them to go down 20, I think it was 74 to like 54. To go down 20 at halftime, that's just a lot of grit and a lot of grind that they got to like, you know, figure out and come back from such a large deficit. I get it's the NBA. All you got to do is hit, you know, some threes and boom, you're back into it. But for them to go like into the third and then almost lose the third by 4 points, and then finally they just, you know, out of nowhere came through in the fourth. But I don't know, bro. It's just a lot of questionable decisions by Doc. Is Doc the problem, or is it the fact that Danny Green went 0 for 4 from the 3-point line? Is it the fact that Tyrese Maxey went 2 for 8? Like, I just don't know what the problem was last night for Philly. I had, if Joel played, Philly would win in 5 or 6. To my surprise, that was the you know, like he actually played, which I wasn't expecting. So I just don't know. Or is Atlanta the truth? Are they going to get like this production from Bogdan? Are they going to get this like numbers from John Collins, which was a huge step up? I was proud to see that and happy to see that, because this man was you were mentioning it. You were like, I don't know, man. Is John Collins really worth it during that first series? But he definitely proved his worth. He proved himself last night. And I mean, I don't know, bro. There's just a lot of questionable decisions, a lot of questions to be asked by Doc and that coaching staff, as well as obviously their players. They didn't get the production from their bench. They didn't get the production that they needed to win ball games, and they still almost won that. You know what I mean? So I just don't know. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. Like I don't know. What do you got on it?
So the Atlanta Hawks were, what was it? They were up like 20 points going into the second half. It was it looked like it was going to be a blowout going into that second half. But Philadelphia, they stuck to the plan. They kept fighting, and Joel Embiid, I'm surprised in my opinion, they probably should have sat him in game 1.
Yep.
Just for that extra rest, because the guy, I mean, yes, he scored 39 points, but he looks like he was in pain at some points during the game. You obviously don't want to risk further knee damage because that's your franchise player, but at the same time, you're going for it now. Like, you're in the second round of the playoffs. You have a chance to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, even maybe to the NBA Finals. We don't know, even though I think Brooklyn looks really good at the moment, even without James Harden.
Yep.
But I want to talk about that final 2 minutes of the game. The Atlanta Hawks just folded under the pressure.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck happened. They were just turning the ball over left and right. At one point, I thought that Trae Young, I don't know what. They were up by with
6 points.
Final 10 seconds of the game. They were up 126 to 119 or something like that, 120. And they just blew that too. I don't know what the heck happened. Like, if I'm Nate McMillan going into game 2, they got to because I know they're a young team, but they got to shore up some of those miscues. And because if they do that again, there's no way Atlanta's coming out of game 2 with the win. Because as good as Trae Young is, and as good as he's looking like he's coming onto the scene now, it's gonna be a problem if they do the same thing again in game 2. I do think that Philly is going to come out stronger in game 2. I think like obviously they had the scoring numbers, but they got to play a little bit harder on defense, and I believe they will do that. But besides that final 2 minutes of the game was just concerning for me if I'm an Atlanta Hawks fan.
Oh no, I couldn't even agree more. Like I completely forgot to mention that. Like it's crazy how much of a lead they had. And then here's my thing, right? Why are they inbounding that ball to Bogdan Bogdanovic? No hate for the boy. You know what I mean? He hooped and he hit that dagger shot. He made up for it. But for him to turn that ball over and make it, I believe it was like 126, or no, he turned it over and it made it 126, 124. So for that to even happen, to get to a 2-point game, and then they inbound it then the next possession to Trae to hit the free throws, it was like, bro, why was Trae not getting the ball? Figure out a play to get Trae the ball. It's like Trae, I think he ran away from the ball and went all the way down the court to try and get a heave to him. It just, I don't know what type of play. They have to have a better play or like not fold under the pressure, because it was just a scary moment. I feel like if the 76ers would have gotten a better production from their cast, this would not have been a close game. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned. But big ups to Trae Young, because the man could not be stopped. The man was hooping his butt off. Mr. Ice Trae. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. He really locked in, secured that dub for them. They got big productions from Kevin Hoyter, Bogdan with that crazy dagger, which, I'm so glad he made up for it, bro, because honestly, that would have been embarrassing on his part. But yeah, other than that, like they got a nice little squad in Atlanta. I would not be surprised if they win in 6. As of right now, like I'm gonna say it right now, I think Atlanta wins this series in 6, unless Philly can get that production from their supporting cast, because yesterday was absolutely not it. So if they can get it and they step up and they prove, that why the 76ers are here, then let me see that. But if not, I got Ice Trailer Gang and all of them, winning that in 6.
So offensively, the Sixers, in my opinion, that wasn't the issue for Philadelphia. It was their defense, which is why they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. So that's why, in my opinion, that Philly is probably going to win this series in 6 or 7. I'm going to give it I don't know if I want to say it. Yeah, you know what? I'll go ahead. Philadelphia wins the series in 7 games, I think.
Okay.
Just because I don't know how healthy Joel Embiid is.
Yeah.
And I do think that Atlanta Hawks are going to put up some crazy offensive numbers in a couple games. But it's going to come down to a game 7 on Philly's home court. I think the defense is going to turn up for Philadelphia. We still know Ben Simmons can't shoot free throws. He can't shoot. Obviously, the Hawks are going to play that hack a Simmons game like they were towards the end of the game. But if Joel Embiid continues to put up the 30-plus points per game, and if Tobias Harris and Seth Curry continue to put up the 20-plus points per game, and if they get smaller contributions from guys like Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, they should be able to win. Danny Green had a pretty bad game yesterday, but he's not going to put up.
You don't expect the
3-point line. Mm-hmm. Again, you're going to at least see him make 1 or 2 3-pointers. So if the Sixers get that kind of supporting cast numbers, they're going to win the series in 7 games.
I mean, look, I could definitely see it. My thing is, like you mentioned with that Joel injury, I just don't know because of the severity of it. I feel like based off him coming into that game and actually dropping almost 40, I feel like that was just a freaking smoke screen of hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no chance this man plays 38 minutes, drops 39 points, and is that aggressive in the paint, and has a meniscus tear in his knee. I did not see that injury, but I don't know, bro. I'm happy to see that Joel's hooping. If Joel does stay like this and stays dominant, like you said, if Ben Simmons can actually hit his dumb free throws, the man went 3 for 10 last night. If he hits his free throws, it's a different ball game. But the fact that he doesn't have that in his arsenal, the fact that he can't shoot and that's not in his arsenal, it's a tragedy to say the least, because the man is 6'10", 6'11". Another thing I want to mention, though, is I just don't know. They have to get their production from everybody else, because the way that I saw Ben Simmons play last night with Joel out, this man is he's 6'11", 6'10", and he's a point guard. The fact that this man has no mentality or no heart to attack the rim at will with that height and ability to score in the paint blew my mind. The man literally, you just saw him pass, rather than attacking it and just getting it done, because some of these players were clearly not hitting last night. So you see some of these players not hit. Yes, I get trust your teammates. I get that. But, bro, if you want to be that superstar, if you want to be that GOAT, you know what I'm saying, that everyone wants to, the young LeBron James that they want to put on as the title, you need to attack the rim. You need to attack the basket. LeBron attacked the basket when he was losing to freaking Phoenix. You know what I mean? You have to be more aggressive. You have to, we have to expect more out of Ben Simmons. He can't be shooting 7 shots and then 3 for 10 from the free throw line. That's just not acceptable in my eyes. I think he needs to be the key factor if Joel has a slow night or if everybody else has a slow night. If he can put up numbers, if he can be aggressive and have that Mamba mentality, have that just mentality of being physical and whatnot, I think they win ball games, and I can agree with you. 6 or 7.
All right. So as we finish up the Philadelphia 76ers and the Atlanta Hawks winning 128-124. We're now going to move on to the game of the day. Game 7, the Dallas Mavericks. Losing by a lot to the LA Clippers, 126-111 points. What did I tell you, Robbie? What did I tell you? I told you that LA was going to win in 7 games. The last 2
Mm-hmm.
games, that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were going to go out. They were too good of a duo not to go out without a fight. And we saw the stats from them. They played their butts out in that game.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at that box score. We got for the Clippers, Paul George, who had 22 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds in the game. We had Kawhi Leonard, who had 28 points, 9 assists, and 10 rebounds. Marcus Morris Sr., who was one of the biggest players for the Clippers in that game to show up and put him. See, if the Clippers get that kind of production from the guys like Marcus Morris Sr. and guys like Reggie Jackson, they're not going to lose a game. They're not going to lose the series.
And Luke
Marcus
Kennard.
Morris, yeah. And Luke Kennard, what a great adjustment by Ty Lue to put him in Game 6, and he provided an offensive spark off the bench. So Marcus Morris had 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. And Reggie Jackson, who I remember Sebastian saying wasn't a very good player, had 15 points, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. And Terrence Mann even had 13 points. So yeah, the Clippers definitely had a good offensive game. And if they get these numbers against the Utah Jazz, they're going to win the series. And I'm sure we'll get to that in a couple seconds. Luka Doncic, well, what can you say about the guy? Played almost the whole entire game, had 46 points, 14 assists, 7 rebounds. Kristaps Porzingis had 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 1 assist. I don't know what Dallas has to do going into the offseason to maybe get Luka Doncic another star player to play alongside him, because Kristaps Porzingis clearly isn't the man for the job in Dallas. Yep. So, Sebastian, what are your thoughts and feelings on the LA Clippers winning Game 7 and moving on to the second round against the Utah Jazz? And where do you see the Dallas Mavericks going from here in the future?
Listen, brother, I'll give it to you. You know what I'm saying? You did call it after Game 6, or I guess like before Game 6. You're like, look, the Clippers are going to win in 7. I said, all right, fine. You know what I mean? You got it. I was shocked. But the man, like you said, Marcus Morris, bro, if they can get productivity from that man, and if they can get – I don't want to hear this freaking Reggie Jackson thing, bro. The man shot 3 for 8 from the perimeter, and he went 4 for 10 from the – yes, he got 15 points. Congratulations. That man did not shoot 6 for 12. You know what I'm saying? The man did not shoot 6 for 12 like last time, dropped 20-something points. I don't want to hear it. He's a good role player, but I don't want to hear this talking about Reggie Jackson's a GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, that's beside the point. But yes, he provided for the team to win the ball game. I was shocked, and like you said with Ty Lue putting in Kennard there in Game 6, I don't even think he played a single. I think he played 3 minutes that entire series leading up to Game 6, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check. But the fact that he came in Game 6, did what he needed to do off the bench, Game 7, locked in 3 for 5 from the perimeter with 11 points, and proved and like that, he does deserve a little spot in the rotation. Big ups to him, bro. For real. Like, I'm actually happy for Kennard. I actually liked Kennard, bro. It was unfortunate being in Detroit. I think a lot of players ruin their careers going to Detroit. Sorry, fans. But yeah, other than that, when it comes to being able to compete with Utah, I think their bench and like Marcus Morris, if they can get like touches like that, if they can get minutes like that from Terrence Mann and Luke Kennard, like if they can get productivity from their bench, I completely agree. Or from the role players, they could potentially even beat Utah. Like that's going to be a great series to watch. I'm actually excited because Utah has that depth, just like the Clippers do. So that's just going to be a battle of which bench can outscore which bench. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly Dallas needs help. My man Luka needs help. The fact of the matter is that bench outscored the Dallas Mavericks bench 27-6. That can't happen. You can't win a ball game when you're getting outscored 27-6. You know what I'm saying? So it's very unfortunate for Luka. The man had 46. There's nothing else he could do. Tim Hardaway, am I going to use the excuse that he went down with his ankle and like that messed him up, from being able to shoot? Yes, I'm going to use that excuse. You know what I mean? I love Tim Hardaway. I love Tim Hardaway's father. You know what I'm saying? Miami Heat legend, you know what I mean? And the man went to Palmetto, but that's beside the point. The man went 1 for 9. The man's a great shooter. He disappeared in much needed game-winning, situations. I don't know where the heck he went. They got great production from Dorian Finney-Smith, which is unfortunate because obviously they couldn't win the ball game. Porzingis, like you said, I was shocked. The man had 16, but went 0 for 5 from 3. If you're just going to miss every shot, why shoot? So I don't know, bro. This team needs to either get rid of Porzingis and put role players or some crap around Luka that can spark it. But something needs to find out. Shoot, I was talking to a buddy of mine that's a diehard Mavs fan last night, This man was saying, I wouldn't even mind if we got a new coach. I was like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, it would be a nice change of scenery with a different coach and just letting Carlisle go, but it's not going to
We saw
happen.
that. We saw
Yeah.
Mark Cuban came out and
Yeah,
said
he
Rick
came out
Carlisle.
exactly.
He said the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Yep. I don't know, bro. If they would have gotten a better production from their key players and their role players, just like the Clippers did, if the Dallas Mavericks would have came out wanting to win, the only person that did that was Luka and Dorian Finney-Smith. I think we talk about a completely different game. But hats off, credit to the Clippers. They're a great team. I'm excited to see what they do. Obviously, I wanted them to lose in the first round, so Kawhi can, in fact, come to Miami. But they won in the first round. And, oh, wait, no. Did I say that? Lost? Whatever. It's unfortunate, bro. Kawhi, you got it, Chief. Stay in LA. Don't come to Miami. I'm sad.
All right, so here is my thoughts on last night's game. Going into the fourth, I don't know, towards the end of the third quarter, Dallas had it pretty close, and there were some points in the third quarter where I thought, oh man, Luka Doncic is going to go off and he's going to destroy the Clippers and send them packing for good. That didn't happen, and we saw towards the end of the fourth quarter, guys like Marcus Morris and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were hitting shot after shot after shot. And by the time that fourth quarter hit, they had an 11-point advantage. Yep. And from there on, the Mavericks just couldn't put up enough points because once Kawhi Leonard started guarding Luka Doncic, Luka started getting clamped. It wasn't even funny. Kawhi Leonard's probably the best defensive player in the NBA. If you ask me, he's not even the best offensive. He's probably the best two-way player in the game because offensively, while he was guarding Luka Doncic and running around with him the whole entire fourth quarter, he was putting up great numbers, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. He had 28 points. He may not have cracked the 30 points that we probably could have seen if it was a close game. But didn't even get to 45 like he had in Game 6. But he put up enough numbers for the Clippers to get the win and play hard defense that Ty Lue has been preaching. And guys like Paul George and Marcus Morris Sr., they fell in line with Kawhi Leonard because once they see their leader go ahead and taking that responsibility of taking on Luka Doncic, we see guys like Paul George, who didn't play like pandemic P yesterday. He played like playoff P. And he played pretty well. He had 22 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds. He had a double-double. But guys, like I said earlier, with Luka Kennard coming in Game 6, I don't know what happened for the Clippers, but offensively, they needed that scoring punch off the bench. And just getting at least 10 points is a huge difference for the Clippers because before they didn't have that. Because now, ever since they had to insert Reggie Jackson into the starting lineup to give that starting lineup an extra punch, they didn't have that scoring threat off the bench that you could see. Maybe like someone like Terrence Mann could have been that guy, but obviously he's not in full form yet. Rondo, he's not going to get you that crazy amount of points. But besides that, I mean, the Clippers just played like they wanted it more in that fourth quarter. In my opinion, they're a huge threat to the Jazz in round 2 because obviously any team with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George is the threat to anybody. As far as the Dallas Mavericks go, in my opinion, I think Luka Doncic is good enough to win basketball games without a co-star, but maybe they go out and try to get a co-star. Maybe they try and flip Kristaps Porzingis for a bunch of players and even cap space relief for them to go fix that bench. Because obviously the bench was the problem for Dallas in game 7. They didn't have any production off the bench whatsoever. I think they need to re-sign Tim Hardaway Jr.
Absolutely.
They should trade Kristaps Porzingis, and they should find shooters and maybe a 6-man to come off the bench. Someone like that can give like a scoring punch, like someone that they need to find a Jordan Clarkson to come off the bench. Because I think if they can find that and they can let Luka do his thing in the starting lineup, and surround him with shooters, maybe they even look at the guys like I don't know why they traded Seth Curry. He would have been the perfect player.
It made no sense.
He would have been the perfect player for Dallas to keep and for that bench to thrive. But they need to find, maybe they look to someone like a Duncan Robinson to find shooters and stuff like that for the starting lineup. But besides, they need to find someone that will be willing to take on Kristaps Porzingis because obviously the guy doesn't feel like being the second fiddle to Luka Doncic anymore, and he wants to be his own. He's acting like a diva a little bit, like he was in New York. But it's not like he could have played a lot better for Dallas. He did not play like a max player. he just struggled, and I don't know. Dallas needs to rethink what they're doing with him for the future.
No, 100%. I completely agree. Now with the whole Utah series or situation, I really think it's crazy. At least last night, right? You don't expect Kawhi to go for the 40-something if you already see how Marcus is splashing that joint. If they can get that level of productivity from every single player off that bench or all their key role players, like I really think the Clippers could, make a case of going to the NBA Finals. If we can see this, it doesn't even have to be 20 plus from Marcus Morris, but if we could see 15 plus from everybody, even like 10, 11 plus, like Kennard and Mann had off the bench, if we can see that level of capability of being able to like produce for their team, I don't think we even see Kawhi or PG touch another 30 the rest of this year, like the rest of the freaking NBA season. If they get that level of, production from their squad. If not, then obviously Kawhi's going to go crazy. But I don't know, bro. Like that team actually surprised me because I was not expecting. I got to give credit to Ty Lue because that change of benching Patrick Beverley and letting know that you're going to the bench and you're not going to be in the rotation, bringing in Reggie Jackson, like you said, the spark they needed. And then on top of that, Kennard not playing like 3 minutes in the first 5 games, played in the 6th game and played in game 7 and produced the way he did. Hey, hats off to Ty Lue. Hats off to the supporting cast for really believing in their squad and wanting to actually win a ball game. It was just very surprising to me. I think they do, in fact, potentially. I need to see how game 1 goes with Utah, but I think they can, maybe win in 6, maybe 1 in 5. It kind of just depends, but that's going to be a battle. I want that to go to 7. That's one series I want to go to 7 just because I want to see like the grit and grind and the adversity from both teams and see who really wants the opportunity to get there. But that's pretty much it.
As far as the Clippers and the Jazz go, for me, it's going to be a battle of offensive firepower versus defense. Which team is the better coached team in the end will win the series. Quinn Snyder, don't get me wrong, he's one of the best coaches in the league. Obviously, the Jazz have so much offensive firepower. When you have Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, you just got to be. You don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, are the Clippers going to be a little bit tired going into the series after playing a 7-game series against the Dallas Mavericks? How is Kawhi Leonard going to respond in this series compared to starting slow off in the first round and then picking it up as the series went on? I think this Utah, it's going to be a close series, but I think the Utah Jazz will win the series in six games, I think. Cool. Utah Jazz, they're just going to have enough. They're just going to have too much offense for the Clippers to even think about playing defense on, because you only have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George as your 2 best defensive players. Yep. Obviously, one of them is going to be guarding Donovan Mitchell, but at the same time, if you have guys like Jordan Clarkson, Gobert, Bogdanovich, Ingles, Conley. There's just too much pieces for Utah, and there's too much people for the Clippers to guard in the second round.
All I gotta say regarding that series, we're just gonna see every single night, game in and game out. We're gonna see who wants it more. That's basically how I'm gonna make this like prediction, whatever the case may be. Game 1, no matter how tired the Clippers may be, we're gonna see who wants that game more. Game 2, they got a little bit of rest. We're gonna see who wants that game more. It's gonna be a very tight series. It's gonna be a close one. I do not expect any blowouts. I don't. It's like, I don't know if that's like a big or a hot take, but I don't expect any blowouts. I think those two teams are going to battle. It just comes down to those role players, those key players for the Clippers to step up and to produce each and every night. They cannot have one bad night because, like you said, Utah has a dominant offensive like weapon between all of those players. Not just one, but every single one of those players can hoop and can go crazy. So the fact of the matter is you're going to get a tough, well-rounded Utah team versus a Clippers team that obviously just came off of a Game 7, but as well as are they going to be consistent every night? And I'm not talking about PG. I'm not talking about Kawhi. I'm talking about Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson. Is Luke Kennard even going to touch the court? Like, I don't know. I need to see what Ty Lue does. But, yeah, I don't know who's going to win. It would be nice if Utah does, so my man D. Wade can, have that little, potential of getting another ring, but this time as a owner or whatever. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it.
All right. So as we get away from the Clippers winning 126 to 111, I just want to remind everyone who's watching this podcast today, if you haven't already, make sure you drop that follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and review. Tell us how much you love the show. What do you want to see on the show further? Let us know on YouTube. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe. Twitch, follow us if you haven't done so already. It really does help us a lot, and it gives us huge support. And me and Sebastian are looking forward to seeing where this channel goes in the future. So, Sebastian, we have 2 games on tonight's docket. We have the Brooklyn Nets going into Game 2, up 1-0 against the Milwaukee Bucks, and we have a new series starting: the Denver Nuggets against the Phoenix Suns in Game 1 in the Valley of Phoenix. So, Sebastian, with James Harden being out for Game 2 and possibly foreseeably the future of this series, obviously we do think, at least I think, the Nets have enough pieces, even without James Harden, to take the series. But do you think that Milwaukee is going to win Game 2 tonight and make the Nets feel them?
So here's my thing. I think everybody can agree, we're going to be expecting huge performances from Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving tonight, especially with James Harden out. I think we can both agree upon that, right? What I'm hoping to see tonight, is the real Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton, let me bring up the box score, cannot go 6 for 23 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3, and drop 13 points if they expect to win. Because on top of that, you're not getting production from your bench like you did against that closeout against Miami. Mr. Bryn Forbes, everybody was so hyped about, and this man was so nasty, outscoring Jimmy Butler in that 4th game. Mr. Bryn Forbes went 2 for 8, 1 for 5 from 3 with 5 points. Mr. Bobby Portis, one of the greatest defenders that a lot of people are saying, 3 for 7 with 6 points. You can't get that production and expect to beat the damn Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are literally going like they're the best team in the league right now. I don't care what anybody says. You know what I'm saying? The level of production that they get from every single player is absolutely insane. It's what they need to win ball games.
The biggest finesser, Blake Griffin, man, 18 points and 14 boards last game. He had 4 3-pointers.
Crazy, bro. Absolutely insane. He did what needed to do with James Harden out. We saw this Blake in Detroit. That man Blake started hooping like that in Detroit because they wanted him to change his role and start sparking it from the perimeter. We saw that all in Detroit. So that's nothing new to me. I kind of seen that. Now, am I expecting that again tonight? Absolutely not. Will I expect 1 or 2 threes? Sure, why not? It's Blake Griffin. He definitely can hit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking his ability of shooting. I just think we're going to get a bigger game from Kevin Durant. I think we're going to get a bigger game from Kyrie Irving because he shot the ball horrible. He didn't shoot the ball that great. You know what I'm saying? And he still dropped 25. So I think we're going to get better production from both of their star players, as well as obviously regular-ass production from their key role players. My biggest thing is Forbes needs to step up, and Bobby Portis needs to step up. And obviously, Chris Middleton cannot have a 13-point game like that again. That man, in order for them to win, needs at least 20 to 25 points. If not, they stand no chance against this Brooklyn Nets team. I just don't know. I was surprised at the performance by Chris Middleton. I got mad love for him too, but he needs to be that freaking all-star that everybody knows. He just disappeared. We did not see him last game. It blows my mind. But hey, man, I don't know. If we get another performance like this from their bench, I think Brooklyn might just sweep them. Now, if their bench wants to step up and be these little freaking God gifts of freaking hell, I don't even know, bro. Whatever the hell they were in Miami, because that's still pissing me off. That Game 4 performance, everybody's freaking talking about they're the greatest team in the entire world. If we see that tonight, I think they beat the damn Brooklyn Nets. If we don't, and we see another performance like Game 1, I got Brooklyn in 4.
Yeah, so if Brooklyn wins by 10 plus again tonight, Milwaukee's probably gonna have to rethink what they're doing in Game 3 and 4. Guys like Bryn Forbes, who didn't hit any 3-pointers last game, who did this against Miami, is kind of really pissing me off a little bit because what the hell is that about? Yep. I knew Milwaukee wasn't as good as they think they are. Yeah, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton are solid, good players. Like they just had a lucky series against the Heat last round. There's just absolutely no way they're beating the Brooklyn Nets. I think that maybe they'll get a game or two. So I say Brooklyn wins in 6 games, but Brooklyn never really needed James Harden. They never needed
Nope.
him at all.
Nope.
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were enough, and they could have kept Karis LeVert, and they could have had Jared Allen still, and they would have been fine. They could have had all their draft picks that they traded away for James Harden, and they still would have been fine because they are still the favorites to win the Eastern Conference, and they're still the favorites to win the NBA Finals. They're that good. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are that good. Joe Harris is that good. Blake Griffin is that good. The Nets are they're just too much, man. There's too much. I don't know if Milwaukee is going to be able to overcome that offensive firepower that Brooklyn has because they kept the game close, but as the game goes on and the fourth quarter comes around, that's KD and Kyrie's moment to shine, and they shined in game 1, and there's no doubt in my mind that they will not do it again in tonight's game.
Absolutely.
All right, so as we move away from the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks game 2, we now are going to go into the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns playing their game 1 series tonight, I believe at 10 o'clock Eastern time on TNT. The Phoenix Suns obviously defeating the defending NBA champions Los Angeles Lakers in 6 games, and the Denver Nuggets obviously winning against the Portland Trail Blazers in 6 games.
What's shocked about that?
So, Sebastian, I know the Phoenix Suns are your NBA Finals favorite out of the Western Conference.
Yes, sir.
Do we think that Denver has enough to overthrow the Phoenix Suns in a 7-game series?
Listen, these I'm not even gonna lie. Obviously, I had Dallas and Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals, but I'm really happy that the Clippers won and now I get to face Utah because, like I said, that series is gonna be absolutely insane to watch. But my favorite series right now is gonna be this one, hands down. I've been a huge Michael Porter fan since his damn freshman year in high school, and I've been a big D-Book supporter. I think Montana, you can attest for that. You know what I'm saying? I've been telling you since his rookie year, this man should be an all-star, but got no love because he was on a garbage team. But it is what it is now.
Been a Miami Heat player.
Sure. Don't even get me started with that, Montana. Don't even. Listen, I could go on and we could have a whole debate and a story.
You went 1 pick right after Justice Winslow.
Listen. No, he went 3. Listen, I was in Bristol, Connecticut. I was literally there. I heard insider news that the Miami Heat were getting Devin Booker because, I was out there. You know what I'm saying? The Miami Heat are getting Devin Booker out of nowhere. Nobody touches Justice Winslow. Pat Riley loved him, drafted him. And that's why we lost our chances of Devin Booker. All night we were getting Devin Booker. All night. But then Justice fell, and oh my God, Justice, he's the next Kawhi Leonard. That was his comparison. The next Kawhi Leonard. And here we are, missing the opportunity of greatness with Devin Booker. That's beside the point. Whatever. I think this is going to be a huge series and a fun one to watch. I think tonight, if the Suns are going to win, they have to get, first of all, D-Book needs to keep that same momentum from that Lakers series. That's number 1. Starts out strong. That's pretty much it. Number 2, they got to get the same level of production that they have been from Jay Crowder. Yes, he shot poorly in that Lakers game, but he closed out. In the last 2 games, he started sparking it. And he started getting into rhythm. That's the real Jay Crowder that I know. Shout out Miami, you know what I'm saying? He was about, last year, whatever. He got his revenge. You know what I'm saying? Both Camerons got to step up big. If Chris Paul's, shoulder starts affecting him, I need Cameron Johnson to spark. He doesn't even need that much. Cameron Johnson, a light 11 to 13 points. Cameron Payne, if Chris Paul's injury is that tough and starts affecting him and bothering him, I think Cameron Payne needs to get in his Duffy, 13, 15 points. That's all I expect from him. He doesn't need anything else. And then Mikal Bridges. I don't even expect Mikal to shoot the ball or score offensively. I need his defensive-minded powers, just like Jay Crowder. Both of them defensively are going to make huge impacts on this game. And like Blake said last episode, I think he said Aaron Gordon's the key for the Denver Nuggets, and I think Mikal Bridges is the key for the Phoenix Suns. I think both of those, if the Nuggets can get that production from Aaron Gordon, if Austin Rivers doesn't want to produce, because Austin Rivers needs to step up too. You know what I'm saying? But my biggest take from the Denver Nuggets in the sense of what they need, obviously MPJ needs to come out and hoop. He needs at least 25. I think Jokic needs to not get in foul trouble, you know what I'm saying, and play smart basketball and get, his regular 30, 35 or whatever the case may be. But my biggest and my sleeper is Monte Morris. has been, if Campazzo or Campazzo, however the hell you pronounce his name, if he cannot produce like he has struggled the last 2 or 3 games in that series, if he cannot produce for that squad, I think Monte Morris might even need to get a start. Let him play 28 minutes like he has been, and let Monte Morris carry that weight and go crazy, because clearly we've seen a different Monte Morris. I think we've seen sparks of that during the regular season, obviously. But I think right now in the playoffs, we're seeing a completely different Monte Morris, who's like just in his bag, in his duff. He wants to win each and every game, and he wants to prove his worth and prove to this Denver Nuggets team that he can even, you know what I'm saying, be there and rock with Jamal Murray when Jamal Murray comes back, especially getting rid of Gary Harris. You know what I'm saying? They pick up Austin Rivers, this season at some point on a 10-day. Now he's playing for them. I feel like Monte can prove his worth and be like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, let me come back. Boom. Let me rock right next to Jamal Murray. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Bang that out. But if they can just it's going to be I don't know who wins. I think Phoenix wins by a close one. I don't think it's a blowout at all. I think it's maybe like 3 or 4 point game. It'll start going to like fouling, you know what I'm saying? Free throw line type of thing in the last like 30 seconds. But I got Phoenix tonight. People need to step up, play their roles. If people are slow or, take too long to get in the rhythm and whatnot, the other team is going to take advantage of that. And, maybe it'll become a blowout, but I don't see any blowouts this series.
Okay, so here we go. This is where I disagree. I mean, you have the Suns winning the series in how many games?
I said 6, but I mean, it could just go 7. I don't know.
I think Denver is going to win the series I'm going to say 7 games. Denver's going to win the series in 7 games.
Cool.
Here's the reason why. Nikola Jokic, listen here. The Suns won the series against the Lakers in 6 games, but that was with the Lakers being injured and not playing at their 100% best at the moment. But this is a different test for the Phoenix Suns. If they beat the Denver Nuggets, I'll give them props. Obviously, they're the higher seed, but even without Denver's impressed me so far without Jamal Murray. They've gotten key contributions from Monte Morris, and they've gotten guys like Austin Rivers and Aaron Gordon to step up. But the reason they're playing at such a high level right now is because of Nikola Jokic and Michael Porter Jr.
Yep.
Those guys are playing at all-star level calibers, which I think is going to help the Denver Nuggets propel them to the 3rd round and into the Western Conference Finals for the 2nd year in a row. The only reason I don't want to give the Phoenix Suns credit is because, yes, Chris Paul is a great player, and yes, I don't know what he's going to look. I know he's had a weekend to rest, but I don't know what he's going to look like in this 2nd round series against the Denver Nuggets. How healthy is he? Is DeAndre Ayton going to give Devin Booker enough support in a 7-game series to take out Nikola Jokic? I don't think so. I think Michael Porter Jr. is he's the real deal. The guy can drop 30 and a half. Obviously, we saw that in Game 6. But he's still a young enough player that he still has issues that he needs to fix. That I could totally see Denver doing in this series for him to get him good offensive looks. Maybe not shoot as many 3-pointers and attack the paint a little bit like he did in the first half of Game 6. But in my opinion, him and Nikola Jokic, obviously Jokic is the MVP of the NBA this season.
Yep.
The guy is a monster at that center position. He can drop 40, he can drop 10 assists, he can drop 10 rebounds in a game, and that's something that we haven't really seen from a big man ever in the NBA. He's a real good player. Aaron Gordon, you might be right about him. Is he going to put up enough? Here's my thing with him. He just needs to score 10 to 15 points in the league. That's good enough for the Denver Nuggets. He needs to play good defense. He can do that. Austin Rivers, like you said earlier, he's played really well in the first round. Can he translate that into the 2nd round? He's playing great on defense. He hits timely shots. That's all they need for Denver to win the series. So I'm going to say Denver wins in 7 games.
Hey, I could see that too. I think this is going to be one of the greatest series that we're going to see. You're right with the whole, is DeAndre going to give Devin Booker enough for them to win? But we've seen even with AD being out, we saw DeAndre not take advantage of that. We saw Phoenix not take advantage of that because Devin Booker has had such great games. I think if Devin Booker can keep that momentum, if CP3 can provide at least like 10, 15, and everybody else off the bench a slight 10 or like 5 or 6, depending on the player, if they can just provide ability on the offense to score the rock as well as get stops, I can see Phoenix winning this game easily, this series easily. but at the same time, you got great offensive power on the other side as well as defensive capability. So again, I think they match up really well. It would have been extremely nice to see Jamal Murray, in this series, like Devin Booker and Jamal battling it out. But other than that, I mean, it's going to be a crazy series to watch, and I'm excited to watch this game tonight.
Alrighty, so you got the Phoenix Suns in
Yes, sir.
6 or 7. I got the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. So that is going to conclude it for the NBA topics of today's show.
Yes,
we're trying something new now. We're going to be diving into the NFL, and as we get ready for the NFL season, it's right around the corner. As soon as the NBA finishes, we're going to be diving straight into the NFL, and we're going to talk all things football. So it might as well tease that now. We had a big trade yesterday. Julio Jones, wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, goes from Matt Ryan to your former quarterback, Sebastian,
yes,
Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans. Julio Jones joins a star-studded offensive firepower weaponry lineup. Here we go. They got A.J. Brown. They have Derrick Henry, who's the NFL's rushing king. Ryan Tannehill, I mean, we heard Julio Jones wanted to play with a strong-arm quarterback. He's going to get his wish here because the guy is a strong-arm quarterback, and I got to give him credit where he deserves it because he's played really well since leaving Miami and joining Tennessee. Maybe that's Adam Gaze's fault, but
it absolutely was.
But let's what was the trade again? The Tennessee received him and a 6rounder.
No, 2nd and 4th. Sorry. Yeah, they traded the second,
Julio
fourth,
Jones
the 6th.
and a 6th-round pick from the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah,
for a 2nd-round draft pick and a 4th-round pick from the Tennessee Titans. So Sebastian, we're with Julio Jones now on the Tennessee Titans. Does that make them the favorites in the AFC South? AFC South. Yeah, the South. With obviously guys like Trevor Lawrence being in the Jacksonville Jaguars now, and we still have. I don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah,
Carson Wentz is now Indianapolis Colts quarterback. This could be the Tennessee Titans division for the taking. I still don't feel 100% about that defense yet because I feel like they shored up enough on the defensive side, which they were missing from that year. They went to the AFC Championship, but they have the offensive firepower now, and you can't stack the box against Derrick Henry now. You're going to have 2 crazy good wide receivers on the outside. So the Titans' offense is just going to be that much more dangerous. So I think the Titans are a sneaky team to watch in the 2021 NFL season.
I couldn't agree more. I like the Titans coming out of that division 1,000%. But 2 things I want to mention. I'm looking at these noties right now. 3 other teams were in on Julio, but the Titans bid against 3 other teams for Julio, but none were willing to give up what Tennessee gave, which is big. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee wanted it. They got their man. Boom. AJ got his, you know what I'm saying? AJ with those TikToks, AJ with those Instagram posts. Come to Tennessee. So I bet AJ was so happy as hell. That's number 1. Number 2, teams didn't want to pay Julio. The Patriots never had serious interest in paying Julio Jones. And shout out my boy Trap. I know he's probably in here somewhere. That man is a Seahawks fan. And the Seahawks also did not want to pay huge money to Julio Jones, and that's very surprising. I was really hyped. At first, they were linked. You know what I'm saying? Seattle and Julio were linked for a week. I was like, okay, hold on. I was talking to Trap. I was like, yo, Trap, you guys are about to get Julio. What you think? And then out of nowhere, boom, we get the news that he's in Tennessee. I was shocked. I'm happy for Julio. You know what I'm saying? I'm also happy for my dog Tanny. My man Tanny's really balling out in Tennessee. Hey, man, listen, I'm happy for the man. He got his weapons. I hope they can produce something, make a little push in the playoffs. But that's obviously a different topic for a different day. But, hey, man, Julio's a nice piece. AJ's nasty. Derrick Henry's nasty. If Tanny can be as nasty as, and prove to people that this is why he's a legend, or at least a Miami legend, you know what I mean? He got a good O-line. I think this is a great squad. I wouldn't be surprised. Like you said, that's a sleeper pick coming out of that division. And, there's nothing much else to it.
Well, we have to look at the NFL expanding into 17 games this season.
Yeah.
So with Derrick Henry, obviously he's such a good running back, but you don't want to run him into obviously he's getting run into the ground, but you don't want to kill him before his career lifespan out. Yeah. The guy is obviously getting rushed for close to 2,000 yards every season because he's so big and no one wants to tackle him. But now it's become issues for NFL defenses now because now you're gonna have to look at either potentially stacking the box with Derrick Henry, or you're gonna have to double Julio Jones and leave AJ Brown wide open, which you don't want to do that either.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to play standard set defenses, and the Titans are just they have a lot of potential. You know, you lose Jonnu Smith at that tight end position,
Yeah.
but they used him well in the first half of the season, but not in the second half. They kind of got away from that gadget type tight end player. I think it was his name, Adam Frinsker or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Like I double check.
The backup tight end. He's a serviceable enough tight end for the Tennessee Titans on offense and for blocking reasons. Besides that, though, the Tennessee Titans have just become that much more scary, and they're going to be a threat for the AFC this season. And watch out, NFL, watch out.
No, 1,000%. I couldn't agree more.
All right, so that goes that for our tease for the NFL as we get ready to get into the season. The Julio Jones trade is the biggest trade of the early NFL offseason.
Yep.
Maybe the next topic we talk about is Aaron Rodgers finally leaving Green Bay. And boys who know me will know I would be super happy about that one if that is the case. But we'll get into the NFL much more in July, obviously. So besides that, we have one more topic on today's show to talk about. We had the Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul boxing match, if you want to call it boxing, last night. That was the biggest waste of 6 hours of my lifetime watching those previous boxing matches, just waiting for that crappy main event, which I wish I would have never have watched because that was just awful. Sorry to say that, Sebastian.
I'm good.
That boxing match was just complete garbage. I don't know what happened to boxing, but they have just become soft, and it's all about the money now. It's all about the money and nothing about the fighting, because they were just hugging each other, dancing around the ring the whole time. Everyone's giving Logan Paul all this praise that he did such a great job against Floyd Mayweather.
I mean,
they were just dancing around each other the whole time.
But okay, let me hop in on this. All right, look, I get it. Yes, it was mad soft. It was a boring fight. Whatever you guys want to what everybody wants to say, go ahead. But I'm going to back up Logan just a little bit. Sure, should Floyd have knocked him out? Hell yeah. Is that what we wanted to watch? Hell yeah. Is that Floyd's body? I mean, not really. You know what I mean? We've seen fights time and time again of Floyd late in his career that he just does his little thing. He's an entertainer at the end of the day. You know what I mean? As he gets up there in age, he was an entertainer, and that man just, he just doesn't, he doesn't go for that knockout punch. I think he just wanted to make his bread. They get paid for each round that it goes. So I think he wanted to make the bread and keep this going the entire time, not knock out Logan, although we would love to have watched it because a lot of people don't like Logan. But still, I think it was a W for Logan to have stood 8 rounds, you know what I'm saying, and not get knocked out. Although there are some clips going around surfacing that it looks like he may have gotten knocked out and Floyd kind of carried him and said, yo, wake up, or whatever the case may be. But still, man, I think that was a W for both sides. I think I was reading Floyd made somewhere between like 100 million or something like that, and Logan made like 10 to 20. Hey, man, at the end of the day, is it all about money? Yes, bro. Yes, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's all about money now, because clearly, if you look at boxing as is, they don't want to pay their damn fighters at all the type of money that these celebrities are getting paid. It's crazy to think that celebrities can bring more views, more eyes, and on top of that, more money to the sport than actual fighters can. I don't know who we can blame at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't know. It's a crazy world of social media being able to do that. And like it basically just, if you got the clout, can you build something up with all your clout and make a lot of money? We're seeing that. We're going to see it next week with the TikTok fight with the YouTube versus TikTokers. We're going to see that next. You know what I'm saying? Like, that buildup is supposedly like one of the biggest buildups in a minute. So we'll see with that. I don't know though. I think Logan took a W. Like, he didn't win that fight by no means. Floyd definitely won that fight by a mile. But not being knocked out by Floyd is a W in Logan's part, because lasting 8 rounds against one of the greatest boxers of all time, hey, man, if people are mad about it, you know what I'm saying? You go and fight Floyd Mayweather. Oh, wait, you can't. So I think it was a W, you know what I'm saying? I would not have paid for that fight, you know what I mean? But I definitely saw clips and whatnot. But, yeah, no, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, the fight boxing has just become something not like the
Yeah.
old days.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it would be more about the fighting. And obviously, when you watch movies like Creed and Rocky, you think of people, there's slugfests and stuff like that. This is not the case anymore. It's about just dancing around the ring now and just making sure you get your money
Yep.
because that's what it is. That's what the sport has turned into. Do I agree with it? Nah. But at the same time, it's just there's nothing you can do about it. I think boxing is pretty boring to watch now anyway. So it's just not as fun as it used to be. Alrighty, so I think that's going to conclude today's show of Unspoken Rules, episode 8. Thanks again for everyone for watching and showing us the support that we really thank everyone for watching us and listening to us on the podcast feeds, leaving comments, telling us how we can improve. We really appreciate it. So, if you haven't already, drop a rating and review. Follow us on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're a video listener, we're always going to be on YouTube after the live portion on Twitch. So make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, and tell us how much you like the show. Tell us what we need to improve on. We appreciate and we take in every comment. So thanks for watching, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Wildcard Movies. Sebastian, where can they find you?
Rabbit FL everywhere. You know what I mean? Rabbit FL everywhere. All socials.
Alrighty. So that's it for today's show, and we thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.